welcome to yet another 100 before 40 race review, race update. Today folks, we are going to talk about the Barberton Makhonjwa Mountain Marathon 4-in-1. Folks, the word mountain in that title is not for fun. The race is mountainous, and I will tell you all about it, from how we traveled there, who I traveled with, where we stayed, the Racepack collection, the traveling to the start, and the mountains. Right folks, let's talk about traveling there. Let's talk about getting there, because if you are coming from Johannesburg, it can be quite a drive, but you just have to make it a road trip. Enjoy it because it's part of the journey. I traveled with the A team. When I say the A team, the legend Mr. Julian Karp, the Pink Tutu runner, the Don, and myself. We were the A team, the three musketeers. We left Johannesburg around about 11 o'clock, or was it 11:30, and it was a 4.5-hour journey. We traveled through Mashadodop. We decided to take the back route and enjoy the scenery in the mountains. It was quite a lovely drive, although it started raining a bit, and there were parts of the road that can be dangerous if you're traveling at night. So you probably want to travel along that stretch during the day when the weather conditions are clear, because at night it can just get dangerous there. We stayed at a place called Windsor Cottage. I booked it last minute. In fact, it was by chance that I booked it, but it turned out to be a very lovely place. And folks, I must just declare, I hold no brief for Windsor Cottage. I've not been paid to talk about them. We just found the place lovely. The host was extremely lovely. They even allowed us a late checkout. So if you are in that area and you're looking for a place to stay, I would definitely recommend this Windsor Cottage place. Because we were in town a day before the race, we thought it was proper to then just go and collect our race packs a day before, and the Racepack collection was quite smooth. There were no queues or nothing of that sort. We got straight, picked our numbers, and within a matter of minutes we were out of there and ready for the following day. The Racepack, folks, is quite basic, as is the case with most races nowadays. For those who entered early, if you were lucky, you would get a t-shirt. If you entered late, you had the option of purchasing a t-shirt. If, like me, you didn't purchase the ticket, in your Racepack, all you would find was your race number, pins to fasten the number to the shirt. Then came race day, folks. We took buses to the start. And those buses, if I recall very well, in the flyers it said the buses were leaving at 3:30, so it was quite nervous moments, like, whoa, we're going to be up very early. But as it turned out, when we were collecting our race packs, we were told that the first bus would be leaving around 3:45. We arrived around 3:40. The drive to the start was not very eventful because it was still dark. But one thing I can tell you, folks, you could tell that when we come back on foot, we were in for a bumpy ride, or in for a bumpy climb, because the taxi kept going down and down and down and down for almost 40 minutes. So one thing with being on the very first bus is that when we got to the start, so I thought we were just going to get to the vicinity of the South African border and then run back. But lo and behold, when we got there, the border was wide open and we were dropped right in the border area. There was no police there, no army, no home affairs, at least that I saw. I'm sure they were watching from somewhere. But the downside is the race organizers were not there when we arrived. So the bus guy just dropped us and off we went. And we were left to wander around on our own until about 20 or so minutes later when they arrived. And then they gave us some surprise news. They actually said the border was not open by mistake. We were supposed to walk past the border and go all the way to the Bulembu border post where the Swaziland border was, because we were going to start a few hundred meters in Swaziland, or you could call it the no man's land, because I mean we didn't really cross into Swaziland. So you can say we started almost in Swaziland because we didn't cross into Swaziland, even though we left South Africa. I don't think even the records show that we left South Africa on the day, because no one had to give up their passport and that sort of thing. So when the second bus came, I think 2 or 3 more buses came, it's minibus taxis came, and then we all went down, which was about 500 meters further down, and it was a very steep down. When I say we went down, and that's where we had to wait for the start. Today I'm not walking alone. I'm with Mr. Pink Tutu Runner, and we have a guest, Mr. Ashinthwela. Folks, I'm telling you, this promises to be a beautiful race. As you can see, we are by the Bulembu border post. Okay, there. Okay, yeah, there. We're starting here in Swaziland, and we're gonna trek back to Barberton. So, as you know, when you run these cross border to border things, or country to country, or two countries, whatever, you skip the border. We don't have passports.
No passport at all.
We probably are illegal immigrants in Swaziland right now. As we are illegals. Right, Mr. Ashinthwela knows something about the organization of the race. What do you have to tell to them, Mr. Ashinthwela?
Barberton, in short, it's a tourist attraction place. Look, as far as I know, stock exchange, the first one was literally launched in this the very same town we are in. So, like Mr. 100 before 40 say, it's a country to country. One of the marathon that you run from a certain country, you finish in another country, which is Swaziland, South Africa. So guys, look out for this marathon. It's gonna grow, I think, on a year-to-year basis. So look out for it, and all the best of luck to all the runners running today. So guys, go out there, have fun to your thing, Mr. Tutu.
There we go, folks. You heard that. The stock exchange, what. There's some history to this race. We are going to do more research and we'll tell you all about it. Now we have a special guest. Those who follow Comrades, you've already recognized the face. Like, oh, that one! He's here with us. He's going to tell us a few things about the race.
Yes, Papa.
I understand this is a new race, isn't it? Or is it the first time running this route? What can you tell us about the route?
The route is nice. Then it's easy. It's very nice. I think it's not tough. Then just if you run the first 21 kilometers, then the next 21 is a down run until to 10 to go. 10 to go is very, very easy then.
Don't take his word. He's an elite runner, this one. When he's saying very easy, he's talking about the people in front. Exactly. That's what he means by that. It's very easy. You can take it. But anyway, thanks, man. Thanks for the insight. Now, folks, when I say it was mountains, I'm not exaggerating. It was mountains. So from the moment the start gun went off, I couldn't run. The Pink Tutu runner was with me. We decided we're just going to walk up all the way across the border because we had walked down, so we knew how steep it was. We were not the only ones walking. There were quite a lot of us walking because that start was just a killer. We walked all the way, a good 450 to 500 meters. By the time we got to around 6 kilometers and all, it was very quiet and everyone was just trying to negotiate these hills, and we just had to do it because we had no choice. We had started it and we had to finish it. The weather conditions were good for running. It was quite chilly, or not very cold, but it was not hot. So climbing those mountains in that weather was kind of a bonus. Right, Let me show you what's happening. We caught up with the legends. There they are.
Yeah.
Slowly we go.
Yeah.
It's a tough 21k.
Yeah.
To be honest. I hope the second one is slightly easy. The dawn is still around.
I'm not going anywhere today. It's tough.
It's tough out here. But
5:30 would have been nice, but not today.
that's why we do these marathons.
Beautiful.
They say-
Run, but he can't climb.
Yeah. I stayed with the pink tutu runner for a while, but then I had to take a toilet break. And folks, this might sound disgusting or funny or whatever however you take it. It's just how these things work. I mean, on a good day, I would probably have just ignored and kept running, but I decided, no, enough is enough. This is going to be long. This is not going to be like a 4:30 finish. This might actually end up being a 5.5 hour finish. I've never had such a bad race. I think this was probably the worst race. I'm not making excuses because it's just a tough race. It was tough. But I was coming from the back of, like, I flew in from Nairobi on that Friday morning around 3, got home, slept for like 3 or so hours, woke up, and then we drove to Barberton. And I had a sore throat. In fact, maybe I was in denial. I actually had flu, but I couldn't call it flu until I had run the race. And folks, as I was navigating those mountains, I think it must have been at that 28 to 30 kilometer. That was a long stretch of a hill. I had like a headache. I felt almost like throwing up, and it was bad. I looked at it and I thought to myself, okay, I've always thought I'm invincible. I can wake up any day and go and run a marathon. But that day, I don't think it was the best races to be running, considering that I was not feeling well. But folks, you know, with marathons, one day I'm blaming the flu, sore throat and all that. Someone else would be blaming cramps, and someone else would be blaming a blocked ear and all that. So I just took it in my stride. I thought, no, look, this is a marathon. It's not easy. It's always difficult, even the ones that people claim to be flat. So I just stuck it out. I think around about 33k or so, which is almost like 30 minutes of struggling with a headache or almost headache. It sort of changed, and I poured water on my head and all that, and I started feeling a bit better. And luckily, I think, or I don't know whether it's luck or it's something that I should have known, because around about that part or that time, the downhill came. It was a very, very sharp, almost 9 kilometer downhill. But don't be deceived, in that 9 kilometers there were also some sharp ups that you had to climb. You probably would be cruising, going down, and then you come around the bend, there's a 100-meter steep climb that you had to do. So that came as a relief, and obviously you don't work as hard. But I must say though, part of it was difficult. It was difficult to try and walk it. You almost were in free fall, because if you tried to run slowly or to walk, it was just difficult because it was very steep. So I capitalized on that, and I kept going, and I must have caught up with Julian and them again around that region. I think it must have been 33 or 34, and I passed them for a while, but they eventually caught up with me again when we got to the flat. Okay folks, now to the route profile, route elevation profile. This is the full layout, and when you're looking at this from a distance, you might be tempted to think, we start so high and we finish so low, that must mean we are going down all the way. That's not true folks. There's a lot of climbing than the going down, because this first part here, if you put together the climbing, it must be a good 20 something kilometers of just climbing, and then these short downs and all that. Probably by the time you're done, you've only done 14 kilometers going down and 28 going up. Let me just expand it so that you see folks that even when you're going down, you're still climbing. Look at that stretch there. It's a downhill, but look at the bumps that keep occurring there. Look at this stretch here. It's a flattish stretch, but there's still bumps that keep coming up. And if we roll it, you'll see the same thing. This stretch here, you're going down, but there's still bumps that keep occurring. And that's the story, folks. When you're cruising and you're thinking, I'm coming home now, this is the last 9k stretch, it's all downhill. It's not all downhill. Look at that. Come around the bend, you have a 500-meter climb. You come around the bend here, you have a sharp 100 to 200-meter climb. You come around the bend here when you're cruising, you have a sharp 150 meters or so going up. And at that stage, it's stinging in the legs because you've been climbing for the whole day, you've been climbing for most of the race, and now you're thinking, I can relax and roll down. No, boy, no, you still have to do some climbing up. And as you keep going, so this is the sharpest, just to show you how long that downhill is, and those horns that keep coming up, or those bumps. And as you think, I'm done, I'm home and dusted, you come around the bend, you turn left, you have a good 2.5 kilometers or so climbing up to the finish. But as soon as you get to this point, you just roll to the finish. Well, let me sum up my race, folks, and I speak for myself as usual. I'm sure there are people that had good days and all those things. Let me speak for myself. I found the race to be tough. It's very tough. It's not one of the easiest races that I've done. In fact, if you ask me, I've done a couple of difficult races. I've done the Sunny once and said I'll never go back there. I haven't been back there, and I think I would rank this probably number 2 after Sunny in terms of difficulty. Now, if you ask me, folks, will I go back there? Certainly I would go back there. I think the organizers did a good job. I mean, as I said, the Racepack collection was seamless. You didn't wait and all those things. The Racepack, despite being basic, I think it was good. The t-shirt was not too expensive. I'll tell you about how I eventually got a t-shirt, because initially I said no, low budget, I'm not going for any frills and bells and whistles and that sort of thing. But folks, as I was climbing those mountains, especially that last part, that last 2.5 kilometer at the end, I thought to myself, I can't come all the way, struggle as I did, and not have a t-shirt to show for it. So I decided as I was running that when I get to the finish, I was going to buy a t-shirt, show that I can show for it. And in fact, folks, it's not by mistake that I'm wearing the t-shirt as I do this race review, because you have to see it. You have to see that I did that and got the t-shirt. And that, folks, was the Barberton Makhonjwa Mountain Marathon 4-in-1. That meant number 77 of 100 before 40 is behind us as we keep edging and edging closer and closer to this magical 100 before 40 number. And folks, as you know, this is Team HK, Team Atimire Kumanya. We will be running soon, and when we run, we will tell you all about it. Folks, if you found this race review, race update to be quite useful or insightful, please click that like button. If you want to hear more about these race reviews, race updates, don't forget to subscribe and also click on the bell. You will be the first to know when we post something new.